transgender safe haven ordinance is good for Louisville. In this regard, I am in agreement with about 72% of our state that identifies as Christian. According to the Bible, encouraging transgenderism rejects God and His authority to govern His creation. He created mankind in His image, distinctly male and distinctly female, and called them good. These are the only two genders. Supporting transgenderism leads people to reject God's authority in their lives and away from what is good by affirming and reinforcing them in their sin. A literal reading of this ordinance, taken to its logical conclusions, leads to several dangers by providing protections for one class, roughly 1% of the population, at the expense and danger of the vast majority of the population. First, prohibiting the detention of anyone providing gender-affirming health care protects those doing grievous harm, especially when this alleged care is performed on minors. The Cass report, published in the United Kingdom, outlines how these procedures cause more harm than good for children. Why would we protect someone who does what has been proven to cause harm to those who will make up our future? Second, prohibiting the restriction of the ability of transgender people to access any public accommodations allows men to enter women-only spaces. The prohibitions on men and women's restrooms and locker rooms are in place to protect the privacy and safety of women when they are in the most vulnerable places. Our wives, sisters, mothers, and daughters should not be placed in situations where a man enters the areas where they should expect the most privacy, which the proposed ordinance would do. As a husband, I do not want, and my wife does not want, a man entering the restroom that she is using. Finally, prohibiting anyone from stopping male or female impersonators wearing non-stereotypical dress or costume can easily be twisted to protect someone exposing him or herself indecently in public. This would protect those exposing my son and the 170,000 other children of Louisville to potentially pornographic dress and material. This ordinance and others like it impose great risk and danger on more than 99% of Kentuckians to support the supposed good of less than 1%. As council members, you must protect the vulnerable and uphold righteousness in our city by voting against policies and ordinances that advance transgenderism. Truly love the transgender and the gender nonconforming by pointing them to the one who made their bodies as male or female and can provide true peace and rest for them, the Lord Jesus Christ. Please uphold righteousness and holiness for our city by voting against this ordinance or any others like it if proposed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ryan Fullerton.
Men and women of the Louisville Metro Council, it's my privilege to get to address you this evening. I'd like to share an analogy with you from author Mia Hughes. It's a true story, and it makes a true point. In the 1990s, Dr. Robert Smith, a surgeon in Falkirk Royal Infirmary in the UK, performed leg amputations on two perfectly healthy men who suffered from apotemnophilia, a psychiatric condition in which people obsessively desire the removal of healthy limbs because they do not feel whole with four limbs. They do not identify as four-limbed individuals. Dr. Smith argued that the surgery saved apotemnophiliacs from suicide. His hospital, on the other hand, thought better and banned Smith from mutilating healthy bodies. Now imagine a world where the hospital did not ban amputating healthy limbs. Imagine a world where lobby groups convinced us that everyone who identifies as an amputee is an amputee. Imagine a world where those who consider themselves as amputees say they are oppressed if good doctors will not amputate their limbs. Imagine a world where people who say humans were made to have all four limbs are cultural heretics who might lose their jobs. Imagine if the apotemnophile lobby group was powerful and successful, and coincidentally, there was a 4,000% jump in teens identifying as amputees. Imagine that parents were expected to celebrate their children wanting to remove their arm, where kindergarten teachers help students embrace their identities as amputees. And then, imagine just a few years later, fast forward a few years beyond the decision you will make tonight, to a world where some of those teens begin to regret removing their arm. Imagine a world where teens look back at the doctors who told them this operation would help them and discovered this operation had done them irreversible harm. The city council faces a decision tonight, and they will answer before God for the decision they make. Will you support such a world? Will you be governed by the feelings of those who want to harm their own bodies? Or will you govern in a way that protects those who would do themselves harm? As a pastor in the city, when young women and men suffer from anorexia, I do not tell them. The medical professionals of this city do not tell them that they really are overweight because they feel overweight. We lovingly bring them to the truth and help them embrace the body God gave them. When men and women desire to transition of healthy bodies God gave them, we do not aid and abet their mutilation. We lovingly oppose it. I plead with the council to protect the vulnerable in our city. Do not make Louisville a safe haven for self-mutilation, but make us a place where men and women embrace their bodies they were given and learn to serve God and their neighbors with the bodies God has made. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Donna Martin.
Hi, my name is Donna Martin, and my husband and I own Apex Massage in Crescent Hill. We are looking forward to celebrating our 25th year in business this fall. Like many massage therapy business owners, we are deeply concerned that the massage facility ordinance will place severe economic and administrative burdens on legitimate small businesses if it is ever strictly enforced with the wording as it stands. Several provisions of the ordinance are simply not practical. For professional massage offices, requiring front doors to remain unlocked during all business hours, it is not feasible for those who cannot afford a full-time receptionist, nor is it safe for their therapists or their clients. Likewise, requiring the removal of privacy locks from treatment room doors disregards the client's right to privacy and comfort during a healthcare-related service. Also requiring all clients to present identification oversteps the therapeutic relationship and undermines their trust. This ordinance does not consider the needs, privacy, or best interests of clients receiving legitimate massage therapy services. The stated purpose of this ordinance is to address human trafficking and illicit businesses that are falsely presenting themselves as massage establishments. However, these businesses should never have been printed or opened in the first place under the term massage. Kentucky law is very clear. KRS 309-350 states that only licensed massage therapists may use the term massage and practice massage therapy. Please stop referring to the illicit businesses as massage parlors. The word massage belongs to licensed professionals who have invested significant time, education, and resources into building a respected healthcare profession. By grouping legitimate massage therapy practices together with illegal operations, this ordinance is demeaning to our profession. Furthermore, the businesses being targeted will just change their names and what services they offer. At that point, this massage facility ordinance that is supposed to target them will be pointless in its intention. The restrictions contained in this ordinance are aimed at the illicit businesses, but will primarily burden legitimate massage therapists. The result will be increased costs, reduced privacy, and greater operational challenges for the businesses that already comply with state law. I urge you to reconsider the provisions of this ordinance and work with licensed massage therapists to develop solutions that target illegal activity without harming legitimate small businesses and the clients we serve. Thank you for your time.
Emmett Valentine. Emmett Valentine, last caller. Denise Sears.
Thank you, members of Metro Council, for letting me be here tonight to speak with you. I'm with SOS, a nonprofit that keeps surplus medical items out of landfills and transforms them into life-changing resources for our community. We provide medical supplies and equipment to clinics and social service organizations serving the uninsured and meet the medical needs of individuals facing insurance and financial barriers. We work with 61 local partners, including U of L Health, Red Cross, JCPS, and LMTD Victim Services. We are serving youth and families, victims of violence, senior citizens, and members of our disability community, with a reach to span from West Louisville to Prospect. The SOS Local Health Program helps residents maintain stability in employment, schooling, housing, and food security. Caregivers can return to work and school. Low-income individuals don't have to choose between purchasing medical items and groceries. And we are lowering stress on our healthcare systems by reducing preventable ER visits. Our medical reuse model and large volunteer force allow us to deliver these outcomes at a minimal cost. It is work unduplicated by any regional organization. With the funds received in the 26 budget, we doubled our impact, reaching over 9,000 individuals in need and earned glowing reviews from the Office of Social Services. The needs in our community are escalating. Clinics are facing Medicaid cuts, and the number of individuals being priced out of health insurance to cover and unable to cover out-of-pocket costs is increasing. Last year, we averaged 30 requests for support per month. So far this month, in 11 days, we've received 42, with 9 of those just coming in today. These are car accident and house fire victims, fixed income seniors, low-income disabled. They're receiving wheelchairs, CPAPs, incontinence products, and wound dressings. Despite the escalating need for this program, SOS did not receive any funding in the 27 budget. This is going to force us to cut the program back in half by eliminating service for thousands. We've been told it's a tough budget year, so we took our original ask of $150,000 and have reduced it to $100,000. We'll have to cut some services, but we'll still be able to serve between 7,000 and 8,000 individuals. We request that you include funding for SOS in the 27 budget to ensure Louisville residents have the medical support that keeps them stable, working, and healthy. This is not just funding a safety net for the vulnerable, it is building the foundation for a prosperous city by improving community health. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine Blackburn.
Council members, my name is Catherine Blackburn. I live in Louisville Metro Council District 8. It's been argued that the protections offered to trans citizens in Louisville under the Fairness Ordinance are good enough. They are not. The Trans Safe Haven Ordinance was proposed specifically in response to a mounting need to be proactive against more complex and targeted oppression than the existing Fairness Ordinance accommodates. Put simply, in the face of bigoted laws and mandates from federal and state governments, transgender people, their loved ones, and the medical and educational professionals who dare to care for us are subject to different forms of hate crimes than those defended against in the Fairness Ordinance. Different protections are required. I know this firsthand because I'm a 5th-generation Floridian, and in 2023 I was compelled to flee my home, leaving behind my friends and family because of a volley of bigoted laws restricting healthcare access and making it effectively illegal for trans people to exist in public life. I lived in Orlando, a town whose city-level protections are similar to Louisville's under the Fairness Ordinance, but had no protections for me when my health care was taken away overnight. Obviously, state and federal laws preempt city ordinances, but local ordinances provide nuanced guidance that could slow or undermine bigoted and unconstitutional laws that hold entire populations in suspense while they're fought in court. Whether or not the Trans Safe Haven Ordinance is passed in its current form, I hope that it's clear that this ordinance isn't just needed by the few whom it strives to protect, but it is wanted by the many Louisvillians who believe that transgender people deserve the same inalienable rights as their fellow Kentuckians. Louisville is my home now. Since moving here, I've become a wife and mother. My family, my wife who is trans, and my children, they've lived their whole lives here. I can't stand the thought that them or any Louisvillians might ever have to go through what I went through, losing the only home that they've ever known. I hope that none of you ever have to know the pain of your city and your state turning their backs on you, dehumanizing you with bigoted laws that say, in opposition to the hospitality of this town, you are not welcome here. The erosion of transgender rights is also an erosion of your rights. Any rights that governmental bodies take from us, they're more than capable of taking from you, unless our elected officials at all levels do their jobs and protect their citizens. And to those who would oppose this ordinance on the basis of religion, let me remind the Christians among you that Christ's message of love extends to all people. Above all else, Christ asks us to love one another. Transgender people do not exist in defiance of God's will. We exist in the celebration of the truth we know in our heart of hearts. So I ask you, Will you hear our hard-fought truth? Will you condemn us for our differences? Or will you show us the love and mercy emblematic of Christ's teachings? Thank you.
Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today to the members of this council. My name is Samantha Davis. I'm a Kentucky licensed massage therapist. I live in Councilman Piagentini's district. My business, Global Prenatal Massage, is located in Councilwoman McCrane's district. Thank you all for your attention today during my time. Massage therapists are adjunctive healthcare providers. Our clients trust us to create safe space to heal from surgeries, trauma, stress, and prepare for labor and birth. They range in age from newborns to seniors. There is no greater compliment we receive than to hear how safe our clients feel with us. As healthcare providers, LMTs are trusted referral sources for surgeons, OBs and midwives, dentists, physical therapists, and mental health professionals, because they know our therapeutic modalities support better outcomes for their patients. Kentucky LMTs already go through a federal background check. We take a minimum of education hours from board-certified massage therapy education program, pass a nationally recognized licensing exam, not only to verify our proficiency in our field of practice, but to verify that granting us a license would not harm the public. When we renew our licenses every 2 years, we're required to submit any new criminal history. We are required to take continuing education hours, 3 of which are required to be in ethics. We're bound by law to operate within our scope of practice and our professional code of ethics. I have personally earned 3 other state licenses to practice massage before earning my Kentucky license. I have never experienced this type of oversight because it does not work. In Ohio, under the State Medical Board, LMTs and all other healthcare professionals are required to take a human trafficking course to renew our licenses. My point here is that massage therapists are acutely aware of the harmful and damaging human trafficking illegally operating under the name of massage. We are asking to be treated like the valuable allies we are in the fight against human trafficking. In addition to disrupting the trust our clients place in us, this ordinance wastes valuable tax dollars and personnel hours policing legitimate massage therapists. Because of the way the Kentucky LMT Board validates and licenses us, our clients can trust us. Our referral partners can trust us. And I'm asking this council to also place your trust in the Commonwealth and grant a pathway to exemption for licensed massage therapists. Thank you.
Members of the local Metro Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Gabriel Bella, and I'm a licensed massage therapist here in Jefferson County. I'm here to urge you today to reconsider the application for the licensing ordinance. Sorry, I'm really moved by what's going on over here, so it'll take me a second. The application of the licensing ordinance and to exempt solo practitioners. We are professionals who work alone in single therapist practices and who already hold and maintain state-issued massage therapy license. The core purpose of this ordinance is to combat human trafficking and sex trafficking. That is a goal I wholeheartedly support. But the structure of the ordinance does not distinguish between large multi-room commercial establishments where trafficking risks have historically been documented, and solo practitioners who by definition do not present these risks. A solo practitioner has no employees, no back rooms, no rotating staff, no ability to hide illicit activity behind the business front. We work one-on-one with clients in transparent, highly regulated environments, and we are already vetted, licensed, monitored by the board and licensed here for massage therapy. The state requires background checks, continuing education, adherence to strict ethical standards, and compliance with sanitation and safety rules. In other words, to the extent this ordinance seeks to address concerns related to cleanliness, professionalism, and legitimacy, those concerns are already fully covered by state licensing. Solo practitioners don't represent the human trafficking risk ordinance seeks to combat. For these reasons, rather than advancing the ordinance anti-trafficking purpose, application to solo practitioners merely functions as a duplicative and disproportionate tax on the smallest and most economically vulnerable segment of this profession. A $200 annual fee, video recording systems, requirement of long-term data management, and other record-keeping requirements. Beyond these, the state licensure board may be costs that are manageable for multi-therapist facilities that generate revenue for multiple practitioners, but are not for the solo therapist. Someone who earns income from only their own hands-on work, that same fee represents a significantly heavier burden for both terms of dollar and time. This is not a matter of avoiding regulation. Solo practitioners are already regulated. This is a matter of aligning the ordinance with its stated intent and ensuring the cost of compliance is fair, rational, and proportionate. If the goal is to stop human trafficking, then the ordinance should focus on the environments where the trafficking actually occurs, not independent state licensed professionals who pose no such risk. So today I respectfully ask the council to exempt solo practitioners, and really all of the practitioners back here entirely. Reconsider that we do not fall within the risk profile of the ordinance this is designed to address. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Kylie Rainey. I'm a volunteer with Global DSA and also a resident of District 15. I came out as queer to my family in 2002. Some relatives were indifferent to the news, and others responded with a weaponized version of the Bible and with words and actions that were deeply hurtful and not worth repeating all these years later. We can chalk it up to some really bad theology. Fortunately, I was introduced to the Metropolitan Community Church of Louisville, which became my church home throughout my young adult years. It was there that I first learned not only how to advocate for myself, but how to advocate for others when I'm asked to. MCC was the first place where I was surrounded by other LGBTQ plus people and was accepted exactly as I was without conditions. I was also there where I had the privilege of learning from elders who had spent decades fighting for our rights and for our liberation. And one lesson that Reverend D. Dale taught me that has remained constant. Historically speaking, LGBTQ people have never benefited from invisibility or from maintaining the status quo to appease the conservatives in the room. Every right we have secured has come through visibility, advocacy, and collective action. Regardless of how you vote today, I am proud to follow in these footsteps as our community brings this important issue before you. While we have little to no expectation that the body will vote in favor of the trans safe haven ordinance today, we are reminded the wisdom passed down by those that came before us. The rights and protections that community enjoys today were not won overnight. They were won because ordinary people refused to give up, refused to be silent, and continued organizing until justice became impossible to ignore. May we too become impossible for you to ignore.
I want to thank the men and women of this council for the opportunity to speak to you today. I want to urge you all to vote no to the trans ordinance. And I'm going to urge you based on the reality that this council was created to stand for justice and for truth. And to be just is to do what's right in the sight of God, but it's also to do what's right for the people of this city. And if my numbers are correct, there was a statistic that was thrown out there. There are around 20,000 trans people of the trans and LGBT community in this city. But in the Louisville Metro, there's around 1 million people, which means that this trans community is around 2% of the Louisville Metro community. And so if you were to vote this ordinance, you would actually be voting for 2% of our community. But when I go back to what's just and what's right, in order to do what's just, you must do what's true. And I want to point out a couple things about even what we've heard tonight that is not true. Number one, our government is not trying to erase any trans individuals. The laws are not bigoted towards trans individuals. Instead, our government is seeking to uphold the reality that there is two genders, male and female. Those genders were given and created by God, and that is a true reality. And I would ask this court to acknowledge that true reality. Another thing that's not true, or that wouldn't be helpful, is that if you were to give the trans community the things that they're asking for, that unless they receive it, they cannot live a normal life. I don't think that's a true reality. I think they're able to live a life just like any other person in this city. And I'll leave you with this. I stand here as an African American male, and I can say that walking in this room, I feel like this room is filled with a bunch of racists. I wouldn't then call on you to make a law simply because of the way I feel. I would call on you to act based on what is true. Have there been people in this room that are guilty of racism? If they are, they should be prosecuted by the law. But if they haven't, then we just stand on what's true and not how I feel. In closing, I just want to leave with this. That the book of Romans, yes, I am a conservative Christian, the book of Romans says that the unrighteous suppress the truth in their unrighteousness. I want to submit to you that much of the noise is an attempt to suppress the truth by continuing to lift up and celebrate unrighteousness. And if you would be a just counsel, then you must stand with what's righteous, and you must bring out to the open the fact that God has created one gender, two genders, I'm sorry. And you must stand for what's just and what's true and what's right. Thank you.
Next, we have approval of the council minutes for the regular meeting of May 14, 2026. Are there any corrections?
Why is everybody like? Why
Hey
is
y'all,
everybody
I'm Atticus
fighting
Scott,
with
former
each
Kentucky State Representative, and you're joining me today on State Lunch Night.
We will continue to provide updates as we have more information.
Former Kentucky State Representative, and you're joining me today on State Live Streams.